Hey guys, what is up? It's Dusty here, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto News. And today we have news on Ripple XRP, a little bit about Terra 2.0, Algorand, a couple of predictions about the future, and interestingly, some trader who expects this coin, some coin, to be next after Luna's collapse, to also collapse. We'll see about that a little bit later in this video. I first want to share with you guys James Wallace, VP for Central Bank Engagement and CBDCs, and Anthony Welfare, European CBDC lead at Ripple, talked to Manuel Klein, founding member of the DEA, about Ripple's engagement in CBDCs. Many people ask me exactly how a CBDC would work over on Ripple. Would that be bullish for XRP? Will it use any XRP at all? Will it be built on top of the XP ledger? Well, as this last little clip of the podcast can explain to you, it'll basically be built on a private ledger that's similar to the XRP ledger. However, without going too far into the details, the reason we are excited about this is partially because it will use Ripple technology, partially because these CBDCs will be built on something that we, I guess, at least to some degree, can feel comfortable with, because if we know the guy's building it, instead of some random company nobody's ever heard of, we expect it to be a little bit more open. But more importantly, we talked before about how XRP can be the bridge between different CBDCs. And very often, guys, the CBDC would just represent the currency that the issuer would want. So if it's in Europe, it's most likely going to be like a Euro CBDC. If it's in another country, it will be that currency CBDC. But again, you can watch this little podcast, these clips for yourself. It takes about 5 minutes or so. I'm not even sure how long the entire video would last, but if you're interested more in these CBDC talks, this is something for you for sure. Then, regarding the Ripple v. SEC lawsuit, there was a small update earlier today, and the one I've of course already covered for you guys. Tomorrow, with Judge Netburn approving the SEC's request, the agency's reply brief in support of its claims over Hinman's documents is now due on May 18th. So what do you guys say, lawyers? And Jeremy Hogan said, I predict the SEC will cite a boatload of cases which aren't really on point because of what government agency employee goes out, gives a speech which is just his personal opinion, yet asks for input from 30 lawyers at his agency. Let's see if they can find that fact pattern. Once more, what is happening right now is the SEC is trying to delay, the SEC is trying to get out of answering the whole William Hinman emails debacle. We know the schedule is pretty long, and so now it's been tightened a little bit. But at the end of the day, the SEC is most likely going to try anything in their power to move this over even more. Then again, I cannot blame them, all right? The SEC is freaking scared. If this is not all an inside job, the SEC must be scared because they messed with the wrong guys. Lawsuit was a big mistake if you ask me. I mean, the way we've been reading it, it doesn't really make sense for the SEC. Plus, a lot of these guys at the SEC are getting uncovered now. I don't think they expected that. I digress. This billionaire, Bill Ackman, says Terra's algorithm sounded like the crypto version of a pyramid scheme. And to be honest with you, it depends on how algorithmic stablecoins are set in place, but in this reality, it was literally a pyramid scheme. Because how it basically worked, right, is it was supposed to self-regulate. I know he used self-regulate in a different context, but I'm using it like this. It was supposed to self-regulate where the higher the price of Luna goes, the better the system will work, but the lower it goes, it will basically equal itself out. That is only up until a certain point, though, because if the Luna price crashes significantly, and people could just cash out and get so much more Luna for it, and the peg kind of falls back because people are cashing out like crazy, and the Luna price keeps falling, it goes in like a little wormhole or loophole of death. The reason it's a Ponzi scheme then is because if people stopped actually buying Luna, or people stopped actually bonding that Luna and getting themselves UST or whatever, then the system would kind of fail, and we all knew that. The only way in which the system can work, guys, is if it's actually a very small portion of the collateral. What I mean with that is, if the market cap of the stablecoin is, let's say, $100 million, or let's say even $1 million, and the value of the collateral which your DAO or whatever has, your organization has, is $1 billion, it is nearly impossible. No, I'm going to just say it out loud. It's basically impossible for this to lose its peg. Because even if $1 million, if the entire system tries to cash out, you can back it up, It's only if crypto then crashes to zero and everything else crashes to zero that it actually stops working. But again, that's for a lot of these different things, right? If the stock price of a lot of different companies really drop to zero, they can't pay people anymore, most likely, right? Or something along those lines. Like, things will happen if all the investors pull out, literally everybody. So that's kind of logical. I'm talking about a small, like let's say a 20% fluctuation or so you should be able to save. Anything more than I would say 50% is what would kill a lot of companies, and I don't really consider that a Ponzi scheme, right? If 50% of the people pull out, I'm talking about if a minor percentage of people pull out, let's say only 2% or so, you should be able to manage. And so from that perspective, he is surely right. Then again, there's one other trader who actually expects another crypto called STEPN. So the play to earn, no, the move to earn crypto to kind of die out. There's two things I have to say about that one though. One is I walk almost every day. I'm a little bit too lazy to do so, and I bought myself a shoe on that, so I'm a little bit biased. But of course, I can give you guys my honest review, right? So putting my bias aside for the fact that I do like what they have, I had the same thing for UST and Luna. You can understand why it doesn't really make a lot of sense, but you still attempt it anyway. With STEPN, I'm thinking as well. So the moment that people stop putting in more shoes, the moment that people stop using it is when all the money would dry up. Because one of the people asked me recently, where exactly does the money or the value come from? And from that perspective, I can really honestly understand why STEPN is also a little bit of a Ponzi scheme. Then again, I'm not understanding it properly enough to be able to dispute the fact that it's a little bit of a Ponzi. Because, well, it's again a system of size, right? The more people that go with it, the more people that come in, the better it will work. And the less people that are on it, it just probably won't work. But the reason it's a quote-unquote Ponzi scheme is because, well, the money literally dries up. You can't pay the old holders if people aren't buying in more and more and more. But that kind of works so with a lot of these platforms, though, in the crypto, which is why I'm thinking, like, is it the right way to phrase it? I just think a lot of things in crypto are Ponzi schemes, I guess. But then, so how? Because like, you got to consider it like this, right? They are expecting people to kind of keep using the platform. They're not necessarily expecting people to put more money in, I guess, right? Because even if they just keep using the platform, it'll work well. But they're just using that as a base layer. Then again, I'm thinking, what if people, just no person in the world started buying iPhones anymore? What then? I mean, Apple would definitely not work then, right? Then it would crash. Then it would kind of falter. Because the big production, it wouldn't work anymore. I don't know how much money they put into that. It's always the case of if people massively pull out, the system will crash. The Ponzi scheme is just literally based upon the fact that you're paying old investors with new investors' money, which again, at a lower level is always happening because always people that kind of put in first are getting paid by newer people coming on in, even with just normally buying a stock. But if that's the primary thing. And with STEPN, the way I'm seeing it is, well, they're getting paid in this token that would not have any value unless more people put their money into the system and went on with it. So I can understand exactly their analysis. Then again, I'm not sure it's going to get a crash this hard unless people massively pull out. But the same thing is going to go ahead for a lot of different crypto projects. And the moment that a lot of people pull out, they will crash hard. So it's the same thing with UST and Luna. The system was not completely bad. It was just flawed in the sense that it was not collateralized properly. And even if for USDT, potentially it could be so that if 99% of the people pull out, it will crash to zero, basically. But that's logical. So if you guys hopefully catch my thought process, it's a little bit hard to quote upon these things. Then again, you just be careful. Don't have too much money inside all these things. And if you're a little bit cautious, then I think you should be good. But if you really are trying to stay away from everything that's a little bit on the higher risk, stay away from this as well. And again, you guys have most likely seen as well, people are scared right now of regulation. I've talked about this in multiple different videos. G7 is intervening right now over in Germany. There's a conference going on between the United States, Canada, Japan, Germany, France, Italy, and the United Kingdom to talk about crypto regulation partially. Then a quick little talk about Luna. So this is interesting to me. The majority of people are really not excited for this Luna 2.0, right? But so there's two things. One, a company is said to become the first decentralized exchange on Terra 2.0. So they're taking this true. They're going on and they are trying to build on the new Terra. Interesting, right? Ran, one of the biggest Terra supporters ever. I think he's literally the guy that got me into Luna because he's been posting at least 1,000 videos about the matter. If they don't fork Luna soon, the chain and all the projects will die. Yeah. I'm not so sure what to think, because I'm thinking about it like this. If they don't fork or don't do anything, there's no way to save it anymore. You guys might say, burn, 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 and I follow you. But if there's a burn on every single transaction, maybe a lot less people would transact and the project would die out slowly because there's no new things coming onto the platform. So even though they're burning, the rate might be too slow to actually get things done from the get-go. Then again, Do Kwon might also want to get out of the ecosystem where UST was being used, because otherwise it will go down the death spiral yet again, because he now understands that it just does not work at the current moment. I'm thinking maybe he wants to fork to get money to actually pay old investors or to revive the old Terra Classic, or Luna Classic. Do Kwon, however, is not giving up on Luna just yet. Plans radical shift to keep the Terra ecosystem alive. You can see the responses here, right? Rado says, I don't know what's going to happen to the blockchain, but the investors certainly got forked. Lucas says, if he doesn't burn and makes the fork, it's over for the whole ecosystem. Creating a new coin will bring no new investors. This Do Kwon is destroying everything. He shouldn't manage Terra anymore. And Sean said, it costs billions to burn the supply. It's not happening. There's something to be said about that, by the way. You've all been Taekwondo Kwon, or Taekwondo Kwon. Accept it, move on. See what you did there? Let me say it like this. Binance's CZ agrees with Lucas. If he if he migrates, if he forks, there really ain't much to it then at that point, right? Because who's going to love this? Who's going to like this? Who's going to be excited about it? Who's going to buy? Who's going to do? You get some programmers hopping over. You get a couple of projects hopping on over because they're getting paid for it. That's one thing, but also because they have no other real option. But who's going to interact with these systems? Because everybody now knows about Do Kwon. Everybody now thinks about the bad that he's done and the fact that he's just letting his own project die and making a new one, sort of. Because that's literally what's happening. He's building a new crypto project that's based upon an old one. But it's basically a new crypto project as a whole because, well, new coin. To not keep things too negative, I had some juicy news about Algorand, which again is one of my favorite cryptos in the space because it's I think it's one of the best ones in terms of certainty that it will succeed, but it's a little bit institutionally prioritized or enveloped or whatever right now. Like, it's mostly institutional investors for institutions by institutions. Algo, cross-chain messaging protocol launches support for Algorand. And if you guys don't know, it's about Wormhole, right? You've most likely talked a lot about Wormhole regarding Terra already, but this is a really huge announcement. Generic cross-chain messaging protocol Wormhole announced that it is launching support for Algorand blockchain, which is just juicy. It's good to see. Amazing to see. Really big upgrade. Really, really juicy. This will increase the interoperability by a ton. So this is amazing news for Algo. Then again, guys, that was it for today's video. I think I've covered all my topics that I had over at the top here. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you press the like button and subscribe to the channel. And I'll definitely see you guys again in another crypto video later today.